Oh man, that soundtrack's pretty good. Okay, hello and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Corsair Cup. You got Rifkin coming at you today with a solo cast because Zombie Rip's still in Busan with her mama. I think, at least. Either way, she's not here for today. We got... It should be a short cast, but it's going to be a nice cast. We've got the fan vote in. 69%. I'm not making it up. 69% voted for ShoWTimE versus Snoot, so that'll be the match we're casting right away. Then, of course, we got semifinals A, semifinals B, and the grand finals. So 1 best of 3 and 3 best of 5s for some Corsair action today. And, of course, these guys have all qualified through the month. Prize pool for today is, of course, $400, thanks to the combination of Corsair as well as Twitch. If you guys are unaware of how this works, Corsair, as they did all year last year, give us $100 a week in order to throw cups and tournaments. We, of course, take the money out of our Twitch sub count and otherwise to pay for the admins and art assets and anything we need in between. And Twitch just bolsters the finals with an extra $300 US to make it absolutely worth everyone's while to qualify throughout the month. Now, it is worth noting that the next season, aka June's season, is going to be a bit of an off season as we're changing our formats up for it. More on that, I guess, as we get closer to the end of the cast, because I want the most people possible to be informed, and not too many of you guys are tuned in right now. That being said, most of the players are online, and matches will be starting shortly. But, yeah. I said in chat, I'll say it here as well. If you guys have got Twitter, and give me some love, I'd really appreciate it. Hit that retweet button on the Corsair Cup Finals tweets. Because again, we're going to be starting off with ShoWTimE versus Snoot. Also, Wurzag apparently got his t-shirt in the mail. Man, a lot of people, like 5 people have gotten their t-shirts and told me about it in the last couple days. And I'm like actually super jealous about this. Like 100% because I haven't gotten mine yet. Like, hello? Can the content creator of this shirt get their shirt first, please? Hello? Anyways, looks like Mana's gonna be streaming some of his own games for today, just FYI. So you guys can go to his channel if you want to see his matches streamed over there. Emil may be following either him or Nurchio. I don't know which. Emil always follows the Polish players in the bracket. So unfortunately, this likely means there's not going to be a stream for Bly versus Alive. But we'll wish him the best of luck. And I guess I'll host once I see the maps listed. Abyssal Reef first. How absolutely normal. ShoWTimE, invite Snoot. Make me not a player. Of course, if you guys didn't see, another thing to note is alongside that mention of the Corsair Cup format changing for June, we updated our rule set recently. We changed some things based off of current and recent events. We added some things too, so if anyone's really curious about our rules, always linked in the descriptions for these brackets. But we posted some patch notes on the BaseTradeTV Twitter, which again, you don't need to use Twitter to go to, but if you go to twitter.com/BaseTradeTV, the pinned tweet at the very top, you can see shows a lot of the changes we're going to be making for the upcoming months. It's nothing drastic and it's nothing major, but they are just out there in writing for you all to see. Good day. Snoot. I need to call you a nerd on behalf of the poor NA kids last night. Last night I was hanging around a couple of people's streams, specifically NA kids, and everyone kept bumping into Snoot. And everyone was kind of complaining. They're like, why is Snoot playing in North America? He's so good, blah, blah, blah. But the funny thing was, like, when he would win, he would get like 2 points for winning because his MMR is just so high. It was like last night for me, so this morning for you. Anyways, it should be getting going soon. BaseTradeTV, what was that tweet about the other day? At StarCraft, what the fuck am I even fighting for? Oh, Jita, I'm literally not allowed to talk about it. Otherwise, I would bitch and moan right now. There's a lot of very stupid things that go on And people who get paid to do things don't feel like they're earning their money. That's all I'm going to say about that. Everyone ready, guys? Anyways, yeah, ShoWTimE, Snoot, ZvP, best of 3. For those who don't know, ShoWTimE is the long-running winner right now. I think he's got like 3 or 4 Corsair Cup wins in a row. And he is the only person to pull this off. Not even Neeb has done that yet. Neeb couldn't even beat him, actually. I think it was like last 2 finals or something like that. So yeah, ShoWTimE, what are your chances? How you feeling today? And not so confident, funny enough. But I take that with a big grain of salt because that's what every single pro player says when you ask them how are they feeling. They're like, oh, I'm not super confident right now. I'm not sure I'll have good games, but I'll try my best and cheer for me. And it's kind of like the English adaptation of like the Korean interview. I don't know. So we'll see how he actually does. In the top left, he is definitely the current king of the hill, the blue Protoss ShoWTimE. Of course, with his opponent in the bottom right, the red Zerg player, Team Liquid's Snoot. In fact, was this Corsair Cup Liquipedia. Today, if it's not obvious, by the way, guys, is going to be a really chill cast for me at best. For those unaware, I suffer from allergies in a pretty big and a pretty bad way. And if you've tuned into the casts over the last couple of days, it's been especially bad, and today's no exception. But yeah, three in a row. ShoWTimE has won the last 3 Corsair Cups in a row. So he is looking pretty darn good. The funny thing is, though, it might just be ZvP all day for him, depending how things go. So, hypothetically, if Bly beats Alive, and then Nurchio wins the other side of the bracket, as I think some of us expect to happen, then it could be ZvP all day for him. And this first match will be a really big indication of how the rest of this would look for ShoWTimE. But I don't want to get ahead of myself, right? Like, these are just facts that we've seen so far. Snoot's actually quite the contender stepping into the arena, and there's no question as to whether he's warmed up for today or not, because for those unaware, Snoot has been streaming for the last several hours leading up to the tournament today. Excuse me, one sec. Unfortunately, when I'm solo casting, I don't have the capability to mute micro. Rifkin, you could probably set up a hotkey for it, but the concern is that I won't remember to turn the hotkey off, so I'm sorry, guys. You're going to hear sneezing and sniffling. But anyways, Snoot's been streaming for several hours leading up into this, and as I was teasing many hours ago before he went to bed, he was taking ladder points off NA kids. So, he's warmed up. No question about it. ShoWTimE, on the other hand, could have just started playing StarCraft 5 minutes ago for all I know. I don't actually know what he's been up to so far today. Big thank you to Rooks1 for the 17-month resub. That's a great way for me to start off the cast today. So, last time we streamed, we didn't get, like, any subs. Me and Maynard got, like, I think, like 4 resubs at the end of the stream. It really wasn't much. Felt bad, man. I wanted to hype it up a bit more for poor Maynard. When we get Gascasters on, I give him the same deal that I give Zombie Grub, where it's like, oh, I'll give you half of whatever we make for the day. And just, feels bad, man. Feels bad, man. It was a really good cast, though. And I had, hopefully you guys got that on the rebroadcast. Hopefully we'll get just as good of a finals today. Again, this could be ZvP all day, and I wouldn't mind. ZvP's been changing up a lot lately, but ShoWTimE's going to go with a bit of the old classic here. Sticking on the depths, throwing down that Stargate. Granted, it's a little bit delayed, but nothing by much. Because one thing we have been seeing come back into this matchup, or maybe you want to call it introduce itself into the matchup, reintroduce itself to the matchup, however you want to phrase it. Charge lots. Charge on Zealots early on has been looking pretty good. We're actually seeing it more versus Terran than versus Zerg, but we have been seeing it versus Zerg a fair bit. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Hydras are just a big part of the equation now, right? And a couple of Storms here, a couple of Charge lots there, and that Hydra army isn't nearly as scary or bad. Where's Egg says he tweeted the picture out of his shirt. Oh, that's awesome, dude. I'll have to check it after this game. So, it sounds like such a silly thing, right? And for you guys, this might actually just mean nothing. You're probably like, oh, I'm a nobody. What do I care if, like, who's going to care about seeing this? When you guys tweet us pictures of your partoos and your shirts, what that does, and this is going to sound so dumb, right? But what that does is it proves there's real people watching. And not to some sponsor, and not to, like, other viewers tuning in, but just to me. I've always had this big paranoid thing on my back because early on to casting, somebody gave us like a bunch of botted Twitter followers. So I've always thought, like, had this chip on my shoulder. I'm like, do we have view bots? Do we have real followers? Like, I don't actually know. And I've learned over time, like, a lot of our audience, you know, they're not big Twitch advocates. They're not sitting there with accounts and Twitch Prime and all that. And I've met more people at events and shook more hands with folks who have never made it an account on Twitch, who have never tweeted a single time in their lives. So I really appreciate those of you guys who take the extra mile to show us your pics of stuff. It makes me deal with my paranoia a little bit easier, but it's also just cool to see fans loving what we do, man. So where's Zach? I'm excited to check that out after this game. But Oracle's being microed out here really nicely for ShoWTimE. That glide, though, 6 drones down, and of course the Adepts didn't even get into the fight yet. He's going to shake it up a little bit more. Not dedicating, though. He did transfer away with the Shades, so it wasn't like a dedication to go to the main. He's going to perhaps wait for some more energy on the Oracles. Snoot's lair is going to be finishing up in a moment. There we go. And we'll see if he goes straight to Hydra's. Yep, looks to be the case. That extra 10 health is really nice. Laser Christiansen. Oh, no. Laser Christiansen. That's the closest I'm getting today. Thank you for the 1 year resub. And that, of course, will qualify you for a Partouf. So send us a direct message here on the channel if you would like to get a Partouf in real life. A real coin. A medallion of sorts. But Snoot's not going to be totally passive. You know, there's not a lot he can really do with the Lings at home. He chased the Adepts back, and now he's just going to be opening pathways to the middle of the map. The Oracles, of course, are going to keep policing if there's Hydras transferring, drones transferring, so it's kind of annoying. Snoot has to kind of just chill at each of these hatcheries until he's about safe to move out. There's that faster charge I was talking about earlier, too. This is so good. I think what I really enjoy about this, like, okay, they nerfed the cost of the upgrade, so technically you can get it a little bit sooner in your build. But this complements the cost of units a lot. The fact that it's only going to be 100 minerals per warp in now instead of like 125 and 25 or like stalkers of 50 or whatever, like you can actually start using that money for things like storms and going towards Templar tech and getting more immortals and upgrades, and just you've got all of this extra gas you free up by making zealots a big part of your composition. Oh, also, I guess a problem I'm now being aware of is whenever Robot mic kicks in, there's no indication for me that it does. So at some point today, there's a good chance the mic's just going to shit out. And when it does, you guys are going to have 2 minutes of delay. That's going to suck. So whenever you guys, whenever you hear the robot sound, you're going to have to let me know. It's going to make for a horrible 2 minutes interrupting one of these casts. But it'll only be one of the games that'll interrupt. Well, just chipping away at the rocks. Once again, just trying to open up pathways so that ShoWTimE can't easily just throw down a single force field. I do like that he's been really persistent about Revelations too. Always keeping an eye on Snoot's army, knowing exactly where it is. Overcharges come down. There's a cannon on top of this, and the Zealot Warpin's going to do what they can, but that Archon's killed immediately. This positioning is not so good for ShoWTimE. And while Snoot's fighting at the bottom of the ramp, it does provide a weird concave for him. The Lings, however, are finally cleaned up, and these frees up the Zealots to get there on top of the Hydras, and that was mostly what was missing for this out of ShoWTimE. Keeping the Archons in the back line looked a little bit silly, but it's not because they were like unintentionally not being used. It's just better to use the Zealots. And there we go, just going to charge it on in. The Immortal's going to help a little bit. They got barriers, they can soak some of the damage from the Hydras, but even then they get picked off pretty quick. Oracles really want to get involved with the fight, but he knows that Snoot's going to turn and target fire them, as he just did. That Oracle melted. More Lings flooding on in, and Snoot's looking to overpower just a little bit here on the front lines. ShoWTimE should hold this, but this was a lot of damage done by Snoot. Not for naught though. He took a lot of damage himself, not just in terms of like losing the army, but he's not got upgrades on his own. He went straight to Hydra Lane, no Baneling either. This is a pretty dedicated attack. It's hard for me to call this an all-in because it's 3 bases, but we're getting to this point where if Snoot doesn't get some sort of upgrades going soon, it will be all-in. And at that point, it's pretty much do or die. Yeah, Revelation comes down again. I like these cannons peppered in by ShoWTimE. It's not a lot, but it's helping out a ton. Okay, I think I actually have a plan to solve the robot problem, but we'll get to that later. Because that usually kicks in like 2 or 3 hours after I have a cast. I'm not usually right at the start. Anyways, ShoWTimE starts poking forward. Of course, going to clean up some of these tumors, which is really nice. Remove that speed. Snoot with the high drift speed, of course, can be pretty quick off creep, but really fast on creep. Goes for that 4th base, too. Baneliness I like a lot. This will help remove some of the Zealots from the equation. But right now, Zealots are not his primary concern. It's actually Archons and what is soon to be Storms. Today's gonna be a day. Buy Corsair mics, guys. Corsair doesn't actually make studio mics. So as much as I would love to enjoy trolling with you, the only mics they make are the ones for their headsets. And if we're gonna be brutally honest, Corsair headsets are great for a million reasons, but there's one bad thing about them, and it's that I don't think the mic quality is that great. But the headset quality, the sound quality, fantastico. More on that later, though, because we're not selling out right now. We're watching a fight go down. It's the same exact location as before. Same problems present themselves, though, where Snoot gets a concave here at the bottom of the ramp, whereas ShoWTimE can't really get in there to fight. In fact, trying to take a fight up here might just be the problem. Going around may be a better solution? I really don't know. It's hard to say. Because Snoot gets caught in a choke as he moves up the ramp, but down there, he had actually ShoWTimE in the choke on this little pathway. Either way, looks like ShoWTimE will not get in too much trouble for this. He does manage to break it. He's on +2 weapons. Last time he was on +1 weapons. So logic dictates by the time Snoot attacks again, he'll be on +3 weapons. But what's better than +3 weapons? Frickin' Storm. Yeah, as well as given from the left side to get met with the Zerglings. Hydra's trying to kite back. The Archons, of course, can take some of these hits, and there's those Storms they just referenced. GG, well played gets called, and Snoot going to tap out of game 1. ShoWTimE gets the victory. All right, it's loser's pick, so we'll give them a moment to find out what their map is. But let's go see what that little tweety tweet was out of our friend here, Warzag. Alright, so wants Odyssey. Let me host this up while I multitask here. Oh, you got the blue one. Nice. Hang on, invite to game. Invite to game. Look at this sexy bastard. How do I? Where's the screen region here? I actually was worried this shirt would look awful in anything but black, but that doesn't look too bad in blue, I gotta say. Thank you for supporting the stream by buying the shirt, and hopefully you will enjoy it. I think it's a real. I'm really glad the quality came out. There's another one here I was going to share. A-List sent us a tweet too. Man, it must be nice not being a fat guy. Fuck you guys. This shirt looks great, man. I'm so stoked that it came out looking good. My biggest concern was like that we had made the pattern maybe too complicated, and then like the printing would lose some quality. But that looks awesome. And of course, there's like some more from yesterday. I don't want to scroll all the way down and dig it up. Here's one from Stelios Cantos, who, by the way, is also showing off that Partoof. I'm not sure if he wants me showing his face. I'll just do this. But actually, that kind of looks like that's my head now. Hold up. Yeah, I got my shirt in the mail just like everybody else at a perfectly appropriate time. Nah, my shirt's not even been shipped yet, yo. They said it was being made, but it hasn't even been shipped yet. Feels bad, man. But, thank you guys for sharing us pictures of your shirts. Partoof shirts, whatever you get from BaseTradeTV. I always really, really appreciate seeing that stuff. I think it's really cool. Buy Yord wood mics. Yes! Wood mics would be amazing. Think of the acoustics. Actually, on that note, I will advertise really quick that we do have a Yord show match coming up. Hopefully it's going to be Beyond versus Hero. But if Beyond declines, we'll probably grab like Gumiho or somebody. I think it's going to be a pretty good show match. But the big thing about it is like Yord's going to be giving away some stuff, but they're also selling some codes, which is weird. So like helping bolster the prize pool through incentivization. If you want to get like a $150 code, you can get one for $100. Half of that goes to the prize pool of the show match. Half of it goes to the mega tournament fundraiser. It's an absolutely experimental thing we're doing with them, but it's going to be kind of cool if it works. Anyways, more on that later. We're getting into game number 2 here for the Corsair Cup Season 5 Finals. Top left side of the map. This is going to be the red Zerg player from Team Liquid. It's Snoot. Down 1 game in this best of 3. His opponent at the bottom right, though, going to be the blue Protoss ShoWTimE. And of course, we had some people ask this during game 1. I didn't get to really reply. Oh, sorry, I just found that. I didn't really get to reply last game, but some people were asking about like why is Mana here? What happened to Neeb? And I tweeted this, but for those who again don't use the Twitters, Neeb is flying back to Korea. He's actually be heading back to the BaseTradeTV house. Actually, I think it'll be his first time at the BaseTradeTV house. I don't remember if he was there before or not. Anyways, point is he's heading back to Korea, so he's unable to compete today. So we just subbed in Mana, who did have points, just not that many, because Protoss for Protoss, make it easy peasy. So looks like Mana got a walkover. His opponent was a no-show, so he'll be going on to fight against either a Laser or Nurchio, guaranteeing one of the semifinals being ZvP, and possibly the other, as we'll have to wait on the results of Alive versus Bly. But again, you guys can check all that out yourselves by typing ! brackets and taking a look-see. Oh boy, I'm not going to say this one right either. Thank you, Maldamaja, for the 5-month sub. It's my best attempt at it, my friend. I'm so sorry. Now the pro's just been on patrol here out of ShoWTimE. I was really curious about this because it's one thing like, yeah, you want to keep tabs on what Snoot's doing, obviously, but he's I don't know. I feel more often than not we just gonna see this probe hiding over here at the watchtower or in the corner waiting to put down a pylon, right? Like this just seems a little bit out of place. But it's not in danger, so who cares, I guess. Stargate coming down the other side of the map. ShoWTimE got some pretty good use out of the Oracles, actually, I gotta say. Really impressed by his gliding capabilities. I really feel like Classic is one of those guys you'll see that with too. When it comes to Oracle control, it just looks like they don't stop to shoot. They're just constantly moving, almost like a Phoenix, but that's just the micro for them. And with that going so well in game 1, I'm not at all surprised to see him invest in the Stargate again. And I think even if your intention isn't to kill a lot of drones and you know your opponent's got the defense on lockdown, the Revelation casts endlessly are just it's almost like map hacking. You know, you see where the army is, they can't do anything about it, and maybe just get frustrated. Oh no, hold on guys, my phone's giving me like this stupid low battery beeps. I forgot to plug it in last night. Hold on a second. I'll need this guy for later because I have to go mail contracts out. There we go. And unfortunately, I still have not learned where everything is here. I think I've been here like 3 months now, and I still don't really know where everything is, so I rely very, very, very heavily on Google Maps. I do not actually believe I could be a functioning adult without Google Maps. Not an ad, but just saying, like, I am an idiot when it comes to directions. So the whole, oh, turn left up here, annoying voice is my goddess. Turn that into an ASMR cast for a brief half a second. Oracle coming in, not going to lose much more than shields. A couple of health points shaved off. Very nicely done out of Snoot to drive that off early and not let that get any kills now. Second Oracle on the way. Paired up with some Adepts. This Queen might not be so scary. Even though there might be 2 or 3 of them. Spore Crawlers are down in the mineral lines. So again, not a lot of staying power for the Oracles, but they're not meant to stay. They're supposed to come in and get out really quick. Adepts head to the mineral line. This is going to be a cancel though. There's too many Lings and several Queens makes that very dangerous. Nothing in the main though but a Spore Crawler. And Spore Crawlers are kind of like Cyclones when it comes to anti-air sometimes. You just don't even feel like they shoot up, right? So this will keep the Oracles from staying here forever. But as we can see, it drives off some of the gas mining, pops down a Revelation and flies away. So he sees the Hydraless Den. Actually, that Revelation is really nice because if Snoot was going to try and juke him out and do something weird like a quick fire swap or something, like he'd see that get canceled. Is that a sub-only feature using bracket? No, you type !bracket like this, but the bot does have a cooldown, so like, you know, hundreds of people can't spam it. So. Anytime you're here on BaseTradeTV, if you're not sure what's going on, if you've just joined in the middle of the cast, it's usually safe to check the bracket command. We keep this pretty up to date. The exceptions to this are when there really aren't brackets to be had, like a show match or something. Like we're not updating the score game by game, but for everything else, there's MasterCard. For everything else, there's the brackets. 6 gateways being plopped down for ShoWTimE. And, of course, we do have Charge on the way. +1's going to help out, too. And he's got Chrono running on both. Another thing to add to this is ShoWTimE, of course, is this time throwing in a much earlier Templar Archives. I think he's gotten away with the 3rd base for long enough, and he certainly has the gas to afford it. So it'll be kind of nice if he gets those slightly earlier storms, as he will be going up a similar composition once again at a Snoot. One of the things I'm a little concerned about for Snoot, though, is this all-in style he's pulling off. I don't think it's bad, and I'm sure it works versus many others, but I guess I just watching the engagements go so favorably for him in terms of like engagement space and angles of attack, but to have no upgrades and constantly fall behind, that was what really made me sad to watch that last game. Did Rifkin move to BC? I've lived in BC my whole life, friend. I moved from one part of BC out in the country to the city, which, you know, I've visited the city many times. Living in the city is scary. I swear to you guys, God, if I IRL streamed every moment of my life, you would see me almost get hit by a car every single day. I hate the drivers in the city so much. Anyways, doesn't matter. Big attack comes in from 3 different angles, actually. But Snoot's caught between a couple of cannons and overcharges, and he's driven off pretty quick. This looked to be a really easy defense out of ShoWTimE. Very well handled. Not overreacting. He had his army split as well, so there were some units down here, there were some units up here, and of course, paying attention for the overcharge is a pretty big deal. Western Canada, Press British Columbia. Dog, okay, guys, I've always lived in BC. Like, I'm not sure why anyone thinks this is otherwise. I know some people think that I'm the American and Zombie Grub's the Canadian, but I am very much the Canadian on BaseTradeTV. In fact, it was really cool. You guys may have seen me tweet this a couple weeks ago. No, even last week. Random fan came up to me in the streets, flagged me over. It's like, sorry, but are you Rifkin? Like, yo, those are moments with living in the city is cool, okay? Anyway, Stasis Trap tries to catch some of the army, but it's not going to be tricksy enough here for Snoot. He does trigger it with some lings, and he should be able to get a cancel on this Nexus. ShoWTimE, of course, going to give up a lot of army if he wanted to try and hold on to that, but not going to be the case. Templar don't quite have storms. There's a couple, I guess, in these. That's a little bit more energy than I thought. So he's actually got about a storm per Templar, which isn't too bad. There are some problems with the main. A couple of charge lots and an overcharge should solve this as he focuses on the front lines, but Snoot's not going to let him so easily hit those storms. Dodges, weaves, bobs. That extra 10 health keeps the Hydras alive just enough to really push through this. And the Immortals, the cannons, it's barely going to be enough with a couple of charge lot warp-ins to drive Snoot back. Well, Archons being made out of the low energy Templars is not a bad choice at all, but I do kind of wish he would have kept those as Templars. He does have some breathing time. More storms is always going to be better. It's interesting to see that investment here to a second Robo too. Also, more Stasis Traps coming down, hoping to catch Snoot. Snoot is not really moving around with an Overseer, so if those things are on the wrong side of this, they might get caught. Chases right after the Hydras. Who cares about the Lings? They're on top of simulators after all. Storms are pretty good, but doesn't have the Zealots to really finish them off, as we saw they were chasing the Lings. I do fear this is going to look similar to last game, though. Snoot doesn't really have any upgrades going for him. He's not moving towards any sort of hive tech. He's sticking primarily with Hydras, primarily with Lings, and not with any Banelings. Which I would love to pick his brain and hear the thoughts on his style for, because I don't think this is bad necessarily, but we just so conventionally see a lot of people go Banelings. And I can see the arguments against it too, right? You're like, oh, well, they're just going to get stormed anyways, and the Zealots are held in the back line, so it's just a waste of gas. And maybe that is the reasoning, maybe it's not, but either way, no Banelings at all. It just makes this so much more difficult for him to clean up charge lots. However, again, the threat of storms is so real, no matter what you have. Lings, Banelings, Hydras, so Banelings are just really expensive Zerglings in that case, because we're just counting bodies, right? Ripping pepperonis. caught in the middle of some of these lings. There's still stasis traps from earlier. These don't have a timer on them. They will last indefinitely. So I guess the more time Snoot gives ShoWTimE, the more of these he can actually build around the map and try and catch the army with. It doesn't even take like a big catch. Like you don't have to hit 8 Hydras with that, but just even removing a couple lings from the front line, that's the cannon fodder gone, right? We finally see the investment in banelings too, by the way. Centrifugal hooks on the way. This will be the first baneling being made at some point, I suppose. Chart slots at home do get caught by a lot of Hydras that were heading across the map. South side's also going to need to be defended, but Snoot is going to kill ShoWTimE's 4th once again. Or should at least. Yeah. Things were kind of chasing off out of nowhere. I was a bit worried. Gonna lose his own 4th though, so a bit of tit for tat. So gold base goes down for Snoot here in a moment. I guess he has mined this out pretty quickly though, so there's not a large necessity to retake that base in particular. You could go northwards, but comes in for a surround, multiple angles, tries to hit those Archons, tries to hit those Templar. Links him from the backside too. Will catch some of the Immortals, but there's still a lot of storms. There's like 3 or 4 storms still left in this. Templar makes such a sad sound when they die. It's like equivalent to what I imagine like a very endangered species would make, because the last one gives us breath. Oh, I've made myself sad. Hey, Blacksword, thank you for that sub, man. That resub coming in for 30 months, 30 years of BTTV. Go Snoots. I don't know if you guys are cheering for Snoot. He needs it. He has gone for some upgrades, I suppose, this game, but it's in melee. A lot of Templar with Storm still available as he marches around the middle of the map. Not cleaning up much creep right now because why the heck bother? It's funny seeing the Queen. She's just kind of chilling on the backside too. Right where that army should have killed her. I'm really curious about the choice for Tempest, by the way. He may be thinking Snoot's been blindly saving up and go for a hive, trying to sneak out Broodlords behind this. Maybe he just wants some long-range units to force a fight. I don't know. Templar are going to get picked off by the Hydras. It's a really expensive trade for Snoot, but taking out most of the Templar may just have been worth it for the baneling's sake. I think there's like 1 storm left. I hope ShoWTimE realizes that. Where's the music, man? Let's get some epic fight music, StarCraft, please. When people's APMs are hitting high numbers, you gotta turn on that music. So we get this like somber BS background noise. Well, Time Warp been used actually in a pretty nice fashion, I gotta say. Hydra's just gonna be driven back. Snoot's getting a little bit far off a creep, and I think he's thinking on like, yeah, this isn't gonna be worth it. Again, Hydras are not very well upgraded this game. That being said, the constant investment in Lings I don't think is a bad choice. One thing that's been kind of, I guess, consistent at least, is both players have been struggling to get 4th bases, and oh, that's got to be frustrating for Snoot. He's gonna hit the other one too, just barely. Oh, that's so many Hydras taken out of his army. That is, oh my god, that's like 20 plus Hydras, I'm guessing. Because there's like what, 9 here, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yo, that was exactly 20 Hydras. I'm a fucking boss at guessing numbers. How many jelly beans in this jar? I don't know, let me guess. 147? Probably. Anyways, Tempest start pushing this back. A couple of shots fired here and there. Charge Zealots go for another run by the same way they did before. Unfortunately, this time the Hydras are not at home to clean them up, so it does take a little bit of extra effort from these Zerglings. It will eventually get the job done. It's a lot of Immortals banked up out of ShoWTimE. This is where I kind of wish Snoot did have that transition to some sort of air. Because the thing is, like, Lings, Hydras, Banelings, they're going to be whatever for damage against Immortals. Immortals going to have the barrier. They're gonna have barriers, and of course, there's just a lot of them. But yo, Von Schleyer, thank you for not spamming that in 100 increments at a time. I love you, man. Glad you can still hear Riff. Thanks for the 1,000 bits. And thank you for helping me kill Nexikuro. We learned last stream that I'm apparently, what's the cause of my allergies is Nexikuro being the bit boss. So until we kill him, I will never be free from this pain and suffering. But yo, speaking of pain and suffering, Snoot may have canceled a Nexus, but at what cost? The game, apparently. GG. Well played. ShoWTimE will take a 2-0 here in the round of 8. Corsair Cup season finals. Woo! Let's not muck around. Just gonna play a commercial break, get it out of the way. After this, we'll find out where Alive and Bly sit in a laser inertio. See you guys soon.